Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. In this video we're going to be looking at how to crochet this beautiful vintage shawl. The pattern for this shawl was first published in 1917 by Flesher's Yarns. The pattern currently exists in the public domain, so what I've done is I've gone through and I've modernized all of the outdated terminology, and I've also used a yarn that's readily available. It's a simple 2-row repeat, so once we get started it really works up quickly. I'd say it's about an easy level project. The supplies you'll need to get started are your crochet hook. We're using a 3.5 millimeter. You'll also need 7 balls of baby Cashmerino by I've also used 7 balls of baby Cashmerino by Debbie Bliss yarns. I used the colorway white, but of course you can use any one that you'd like. I just wanted mine to match the reference photo from the original pattern. It's a simple 2-row repeat, so once you get started, it really works up quickly. If you prefer, I have the written pattern available on my blog, so I will post a link to that in the description box below. And if you're interested in this concept and you want to see more videos like this, please be sure to comment and let me know. This is something that I really love doing, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started with the pattern. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is begin with the chain, and we are going to be chaining 236. I know that's a super long chain, but this pattern is worked long ways, and so it's really beautiful, the finished product, but it's going to take a little bit of counting in the beginning here to get you all set up. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be counting in my head to 50, and then once I get to the 50th chain, I'm going to put a stitch marker, and then I'm going to do that every 50 chains until I get to my 236, so that way I don't have to keep counting over and over again or have to pull out stitches in the end. So here I am, this is my 50th stitch here, so I'm just going to stop. I'm going to grab my stitch marker, and I'm just going to insert that to the last chain that was worked. And once I get that on there, then I'm just going to keep on chaining until I get to 236. And when you're all done, that will look like this. So I've got 50, there's 100, 150, 200, and 236. I just like doing it this way, it makes it more manageable. Alright, so let's get started with round 1. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to skip 5 stitches, and then we're going to work into the 6th one. I'm going to begin by yarning over, and I'm skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stitches, and then I'm working into the 6th one. Again, I've got my yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into the 6th stitch. I'm then going to yarn over and pull through, and then I'm going to chain 1. So that's yarn over and pull through the first loop on the hook. And you can see that that made a cute little V there, that's the chain. I'm then going to yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2, and that's a double crochet. So then I'm going to chain 1. I'm then going to be working into that chain that I just made before the double crochet. So you can see that there, the little V. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, and what I'm working now is the double crochet. So insert my hook into that V, then yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and that completes the first stitch. Next we're going to skip 2 chains. So we're going to skip 1, and then 2, and then into the 3rd we're going to work another set of stitches just like that one there. So we're going to begin by yarning over. There's my first stitch I'm skipping, and the second stitch that I'm skipping, and then working into the 3rd, I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, I'm then going to chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet. So that's yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to double crochet, so I start by yarning over. I insert my hook into the chain that we just made a moment ago. And then once I do that, I'm going to double crochet. So get my hook in that chain, I'm going to yarn over and pull through. I'm then going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And we are going to repeat this until 2 stitches remain. So I'll show you guys one more time. So we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to skip 2 stitches, 2 chains. There's the first one and the second one. Working into the third, we're going to insert our hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through, then chain 1, and then we're going to double crochet. So with 3 on the hook, we yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that will complete the double crochet. Next we're going to chain 1, we're then going to yarn over and put a double crochet in that chain that we just made. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So this is just a variation on a V-stitch. We've just got a little raised chain there, which gives it a nice and sort of more interesting look than what you normally see. This is what I love about vintage patterns, is they're just really messing around and kind of doing slight variations on things that are pretty commonly seen. Okay, so that's the repeat. You just want to continue making those extended V stitches and then skipping 2 until only 2 stitches remain, and then I'll meet you back here. Here I am wrapping up the last V stitch, and then you can see here that I have 2 stitches remaining. So what we're going to do is we're just going to skip 1, and then we're going to double crochet in the last stitch there. That gives it a nice even edge. Okay, so now we are ready to get started with round number 2. We are going to begin by turning our work. We're going to chain 1. Just going to move that out of the way there so it's a little easier. Chain 1. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then in the chain 1 of the V-stitch, we're going to do a picot stitch. And so that begins with a single crochet. Next we're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then going back into that last single crochet that we made, we are just going to slip stitch to secure that chain 3 down. And that's the picot stitch. So now we're just going to repeat that all the way across until the end. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then in the chain 1 stitch of the V, we're going to create a picot, so single crochet, and then chain 3, and then going back into that single crochet you just did, we're going to slip stitch. Okay, so one more time, we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and then create a picot. So single crochet into the next stitch. We're then going to chain 3, and then secure that chain 3 in place with a slip stitch back into the single crochet you just did. Okay guys, so carry on with that repeat until 2 stitches remain, and then I will meet you back here. Okay, so I'm just wrapping up my last picot here, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and that will give you a nice even edge. So one of those stitches is going to be the top of the last V-stitch, and then the last single crochet is going to go into the chain. So just that top stitch of the chain there, another single crochet. So that completes round number 2. And you can see the pretty repeat is really starting to get going here. It's looking very nice. We're going to begin row 3 by turning our work. I'm then going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Next I'm going to skip 2 stitches. So I'm going to try to show you as best I can. We're skipping the 2 single crochet we just made at the end of row 2. So 1 and 2, and then we're going into the stitch that's directly left of the picot. It's that one right there. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook into what is the 3rd stitch. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through, that's a chain 1, and then double crochet. We're then going to chain 1, and then double crochet into the first chain 1 that you did. So this is that same stitch from row number 1. You can see that there, they're stacked nicely on top of each other. So now we're going to skip 2 stitches. That's 1, 2, the picot doesn't count, and so the next stitch is the one that's just to the left of the picot. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, then we're going to chain 1. Next, work a double crochet, then chain 1, and then work a double crochet into the chain 1 of the extended V-stitch. That's going to be the repeat for this row. We're going to work an extended V-stitch, then skip 2 stitches, and then work another extended V-stitch. So I'll just show you what that looks like one more time here. We're skipping 1 and 2. The picot doesn't count. This 3rd one here is actually the base of the picot. So we are going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through. Then we are going to chain 1, and then work a double crochet. Then chain 1. Then work a double crochet into the first chain 1 of the extended V-stitch. Okay guys, so repeat this until 2 stitches remain, and then I will meet you back here. Alright, so I'm just wrapping up the last extended V-stitch. You can see that I have 2 stitches remaining. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to double crochet into the last stitch. So skip 1, and into the last stitch, we are going to double crochet. And this is going to give us a nice even edge. And we're also done learning the repeat for this pattern. So what we're going to do is alternate working rows 2 and rows 3 until we have 21 rows of picot, or until the piece measures 13.5 inches wide. So again, after this stitch, you're going to work another row of picots, which is row number 2. And then after that, you're going to work another row of the extended V stitches, which is row 3. So alternate rows 2 and 3 until you have 21 rows of picot. You want to end on the picot stitch. So I will show you what that looks like. If it's easier for you, please do remember I have a written pattern on my blog, so I will link to that in the description box below. But if you prefer to rewatch, I of course have the chapters in place here, so you can just select rows 2, then row 3, rows 2 and row 3, and after a couple times you will absolutely get the hang of it. Please note that we still have some finishing touches to do. Once you're done with that repeat, once you've got your 21 rows of picot, we are going to put a picot on the opposite side. So on the starting chain, we're going to add a picot so that they look the same on both sides. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then after that, we're going to cut the fringe and attach the fringe. And this is just going to make it look so much prettier. So I will meet you back here when you guys are all done with your repeat. Ooh, look at this. Almost there, getting it done. It's so pretty. Look at that picot edge. So nice. It looks so vintage. And it's so soft. I love using smaller yarn. It takes a little bit longer, but guys, it's worth it. What I don't like is how straight that bottom edge is. We're going to go back in and we're going to put a picot on that. So we're starting in the same corner where we began. Oh, guess I'm showing you the back side for some reason. It looks pretty nice too. I like the front though. Okay, so you can see where your tail end is. That's the corner you're going to be starting in. And we're just going to attach some yarn to that section. Okay, so let's start by inserting our hook into the very corner stitch. I'm going to insert my hook. We are just going to grab the yarn and pull it through. Being careful to grab the tail and pull that out of the way, you want to be sure to work with the working end of the yarn. We're going to chain 1. And then go back into that same stitch and single crochet. So this is just the repeat for the picot. So 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do another single crochet. I'm not going to mess with putting it in that stitch. I'm just going to work into the space because it's going to look nicer. And then going into the next one here, we're going to put a picot there. It's just the tip of the extended V stitch. So single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch back into that single crochet of the picot, and then that's the repeat. We're going to do 2 single crochet into this next space here. Again, I think it would just look really messy if we tried to go into those stitches, so I'm working into the space. There's 2 single crochet. Going into the next stitch, we're going to get a picot, so single crochet, chain 3, and then slip stitch it. And that, my dears, is the repeat for the picot on the edging from the starting chain. So repeat that until you have 2 stitches remaining, and then I will show you how to finish up this row. Alright, so here we are working our last picot into the tip of the extended V stitch. Then you're going to have a little chunk of chain there at the end, and you just want to do 2 single crochet and then fasten off, and you are all done. I'm going to cut a really long tail because I'm going to weave that in for a couple stitches and then just camo that tail into the fringe. Sneaky, I know. Next up, let's cut the fringe and get that attached. Oh yeah, we're almost done now, guys. Okay, so this book measures about 8.5 inches long. The original pattern called for 8-inch fringe, but this was the closest I could find to an 8-inch wide book. I am just going to put the tail end in the middle there, and I'm going to tape it so that way it doesn't wiggle around, so I don't have to fiddle with it as I'm trying to wrap the yarn. If you've never done this before, it's not too hard. We are just going to wrap the yarn all the way around the book, and we're just going to keep repeating that, just wrapping it around. The most important thing here is to not pull the yarn too tight. You don't want to be tugging at it, and you don't want it to be loose. You also don't want the yarn strands to be overlapping. So you can see how here each one is like its own separate individual strand. I don't have like a big chunk of one set of strands on top of each other. That would make them all different sizes. I don't cross them, I don't do anything like that. Each strand gets its own little space there. So you do the same thing, just wrap the yarn all the way around the book. Again, don't pull it too tight. Don't have it too loose. And then once you have a decent number of threads there, we can actually cut it. So I will just set the book down very carefully. I'm trying not to move the camera. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold my hand flat on top of the threads here. I'm going to take my scissors and then go into the side of the pages there where the pages are. There's going to be a space for you to insert your scissors, and then just right in the middle, cut as evenly as you can. And then you'll have to do that a few times. This won't be enough fringe to get you going for the whole project, but I do chunks at a time. The one that's taped is still trapped on the book. Okay, but you can see that gives you a nice even fringe. So now let's look at how to attach it to our project. All right, last step. Let's attach the fringe. So we're taking 4 strands of the fringe that we cut and we're holding them evenly together. We're going to be attaching the fringe into the spaces that you see there. So fold it in half. And then I like to pinch it at the top so it's got a nice little loop there. Now we're going in from the top side, from the right side of the fabric, and we're bringing those loops through to the back side. I am going to add on that tail there. Sneaky again. This is what I mean by I'm just going to hide it in the fringe. So I just grab it with the fringe, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate that loop a little bit. I'm going to pull it some, just make sure it's even at the end. I'm going to pull it to be a little bit bigger. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch that through and pull everything through. Okay, and then slowly, evenly, you're going to pull that tighter. If you yank it, it's going to look weird. Just go nice and slow so it's even. And then, boop, there's that tail end. I'm going to just trim it. Perfect. Okay, so let me show you how to do that again. Again, we're working into the spaces that you can really clearly see here. I've got my set of 4 strands of fringe. I'm going to fold it in half, pinch it at the top so there's a loop, and then working from the top of the fabric, so from the side with the picots, I'm going to insert the loops through to the back. You can see that you need to do it the same way every time. So get that loop in that little space there, pull it through, get that out of the way. Make sure everything is even still, looking good. Pull it apart so it's easier to pull the tail end through, and then just slowly tighten it to where it looks about the same size as the one before it. So I'll show you again. We're going to take a strand of 4, fold it in half, pinch it near the top so it's got like little bunny ears, and then going in from the top of the fabric to the back, we're going to pull it through, and then I separate it with my fingers to create a space, grab the tail end, and just slowly pull it through. Looks so pretty. I'm going to seam it when I'm done. The fringe is a little wobbly. It's going to help even that out, open the stitches up a bit. So I'll just briefly show you how to do that in a second, but you're going to carry on attaching the fringe in the same manner. You're working into the space that's along the extended V-stitches, so you'll be able to see it. It's the gaps in the fabric there. every row. That's really the only place to put it, is right there. And then you do that on both sides of the fabric, right? Because you want it to be even. Alright, so here I am steaming the fringe just a bit. You can see I've got the project on a hanger on the edge of my door. And what I'm doing, just about 6 inches away, I've got my steamer on the lowest setting, I'm just moving it up and down, sort of pulling the fringe taut as I do so. And that is just kind of helping to get all of those kinks out of the yarn. It was in a cake, and a lot of times if you're pulling from the middle of a cake to do something like fringe, it's going to just look kind of kinky. So there I am steaming. If you guys don't have a steamer, it's a really good investment. Alright guys, so that wraps up this Late Edwardian crochet vintage pattern. I hope you guys have enjoyed making this, watching me make it. It's something that's beautiful, relaxing to do. I really hope to be doing more vintage patterns in the future. So if you're into this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.